My father demands that I give my half-sister a job and a piece of the land I inherited from my grandfather after he abandoned me. Dad left me at Grandpa's house when I was 11 because his new wife didn't want me around. I thought it was the worst thing ever, but Grandpa taught me everything about farming and business. See, Grandpa wasn't just some old farmer. He owned 500 acres of prime agricultural land worth millions. When Dad was growing up, Grandpa was an alcoholic who barely kept the farm running. But by the time I arrived, he'd gotten sober and turned everything around. For 7 years, it was just me and Grandpa. He taught me how to work cattle, manage crops, handle finances, and run a business. We'd wake up at 5 a.m. every day, work until sunset, and he'd help me with homework. He never missed a single school event. When he died, he left me everything. Not just the land, the house, the equipment, the bank accounts, everything. I was 18 and suddenly owned more than most people see in a lifetime. Dad didn't even come to the funeral, didn't call to check on me, nothing. I spent the next 15 years building Grandpa's legacy. I turned the ranch into a successful agritourism operation. City families come stay for weeks, learning farm life. I also run a farmer's market, sell organic beef, and lease land to other farmers. Last year, I cleared $800,000 profit. Dad never called once in 15 years. Not on my birthday, not on holidays, nothing. I sent him a graduation invitation when I finished my agriculture degree. He didn't show. When I got married 3 years ago, I didn't even bother inviting him. Then last week, out of nowhere, Dad shows up at my door. Not to apologize, not to reconnect. He wanted to talk business. Turns out his precious daughter, my half-sister, who I've met exactly twice, is struggling financially. Her husband lost his job, they're behind on their mortgage, and she needs a fresh start. Dad figured I could just hand over some land and give her a management position. Family sticks together, he says with a straight face. The audacity was unbelievable. This man who abandoned his 11-year-old son was lecturing me about family loyalty. I told him I'd think about it, hoping he'd get the hint and leave. Instead, he started texting me multiple times daily, detailed messages about which parcels of land would be perfect for his daughter, suggestions about what role she could fill in my business, even ideas about where she and her husband could build a house. The messages got more demanding each day. She deserves this opportunity. Grandpa would have wanted this. You owe the family. It was like he thought my property was some kind of family commune he could just redistribute. After a week of constant harassment, I'd had enough. I called my friend Samuel, who's a local police officer, and asked him how to get a trespass order. 30 minutes later, I walked out of the station with legal paperwork in hand. Then I asked another close friend, Peter, to take a road trip with me. I need backup for a family reunion, I told him. He didn't ask questions, just grabbed his keys. It took us 10 hours to drive to Dad's house. I needed that time to clear my head and plan exactly what I was going to say. Peter kept offering to drive, but I needed something to do with my hands while I processed everything. We pulled up to Dad's modest 2-bedroom house around 7 p.m. Before we even got out of the car, we could hear a woman screaming inside. Not screaming in fear, screaming at someone. Pure rage. That's probably your sister, Peter said. Sounds like she's having a great day. My friend pulled out his phone. Start recording, he said. Trust me on this one. I'm glad he thought of it, because what happened next was unbelievable. I walked up to the front door and knocked. The screaming immediately stopped. Footsteps. Then the door opened. Dad's face went from confusion to shock to pure terror in about 2 seconds. He looked exactly the same as I remembered. Graying hair, beer gut, that defeated look in his eyes. Except now he looked scared. Here's your family reunion, I said, holding up the trespass order. You abandoned me once. Now I'm returning the favor. Behind him, my half-sister appeared in the doorway. She looked rough. Unwashed hair, wrinkled clothes, the desperate look of someone who's been fighting losing battles for too long. When she saw me, her face went confused. Wait, she started to say. Yeah, I'm the brother you've never bothered to call, I interrupted. The one who's supposed to hand over his life's work because Daddy says so. Dad tried to stammer something, but I wasn't done. Oh, and Dad? Grandpa left me everything because he knew who really cared about family. You know what he told me about you before he died? That abandoning me was the best thing you ever did for me. The look on Dad's face was worth the 10-hour drive. My half-sister started crying. Dad's new wife appeared behind them, looking mortified. I handed him the trespass order. If any of you contact me again, call my lawyer. His number's on the back. Peter and I walked back to the car. As we drove away, I could see them all standing in the doorway, watching us disappear.